Welcome to today's meeting. My name is Jan Mazran, and I work for Southall Community Alliance. And I'd like to welcome everybody on a very cold evening. We hope that there's a very warm welcome at today's Save Southall Town Hall meeting. Can you see me? I didn't realise we were going to have the cameras in the way. And unfortunately, the PA system isn't working, so I'm going to have to shout, so I'll come forward a little bit. Welcome again, as I said. Today's meeting is about one issue of Southall Town Hall. I will provide a very gentle introduction, but my duty today is simply to chair the meeting. We've got some excellent speakers who will be talking and explaining why they are here, what their connection is with the Southall Town Hall issue. It's not only a Southall Town Hall issue, by the way. There are other buildings, other assets in Southall which are in danger, and we want to let people know about what's happening. But just in terms of courtesy, we will have mobile phones. Could you please just check if they're on silent? Phones always go off, and I will just check mine again as well. Yep, it's off. Sorry? Then you're an important person. We'll let you be exempt from the general embargo. Thank you. We have some refreshments at the back. And as I said, it is a cold evening, so if anybody does need to warm up, there's some food and drinks. But I think, first of all, I think it would be helpful if I just introduced our guest speakers and where they're from. In due course, they'll talk and explain why they're here. So on my right, I have got Shadmarke Diriye, who's from Featherstone Terrace, which is a building not very far from us, which is also under threat of sale and closure. To his right, we've got Paul Heron. Paul's from Lambeth Law Centre, Paul, was that? Yep, Lambeth Law Centre. He is a solicitor working and supporting us with a legal case. And for your information, a legal case has been submitted today against Ealing Council. So this is hot press. So Paul will explain what's happened, what the future will hold, and so on. To the right of Paul, we've got Pragna Patel from Southall Black Sisters, who I'm delighted is here to talk about the experience of Southall Black Sisters, relationship with Southall Town Hall, and also a legal challenge which they themselves launched very successfully against Ealing Council a few years ago. And hiding right in the corner, very indiscreet, Suresh Grover, who is the chair of our Save Southall Town Hall campaign. Suresh has been fantastic. We'll leave him till the end to talk about what's happening, why we're here, and really what the future holds for us. I'll just provide a few words before I pass over to Paul, who will start with the legal update. Southall Town Hall is, you know where it is, Southall Broadway, corner of the road, big white building. It's been there forever. It's actually been there for 120 years. It's a building which was gifted to Southall by the Earl of Jersey, and it's a building which has lots of memories for us in different ways. Some to do with how you use the building, some to do with events which happened outside. 1979 and the tragic death of Blair Peach is something which is fading in people's memory, but we want to make sure that that history of community activism and the impact of those kind of days is still remembered. So our meeting today is going to inform you about two things. The first is a community campaign, and our community campaign, and today is part of that campaign, is about informing residents, informing groups, informing our partners in Ealing, not just in Southall, about what's happening to our community assets and how some of our iconic buildings are being sold and have been sold over the last few years. People call it asset stripping. I don't really disagree. The second thing that we want to get out of today is to share with you the progress of our legal challenge against Ealing Council, and I'm sure Paul can update you in a much more simpler way than I can. So I guess without any further ado, if I pass over to Paul Heron. Paul?
Thanks for your introduction, Jan Paul. I'm just going to touch on three things at tonight's meeting. The first thing is really just about austerity. because I think it's important to put the struggle that's happening, or hopefully the campaign that we're going to wage to defend the town hall, into some kind of context. I then want to give you a little bit of a flavour of the legal case, and obviously I'm happy to take questions where I can about the legal case. And then thirdly, put the legal case into the context of the wider campaign. As most of you probably know, since 2008 and the financial crash, this government has used it as an excuse to launch a series of cuts that have affected people both nationally and locally. And for local councils, in some ways, I've even got some sympathy for Ealing Council in the sense that they are hamstrung by government cuts. But the cuts that have happened in the UK and in Southall and in Ealing have had a big effect on working class communities. Around 1 in 8 council-run libraries has closed or been transferred out of the public sector. Almost 8,000 jobs in UK libraries have disappeared in the last 6 to 7 years. 4,290 council-run libraries in 2010, and they're now less than 3,000. Youth services have been massively cut, whereas the financial year 2015 was a bad year for council's youth service spending, a total cut of 85 million, which I'm sure whilst that's been across England and Wales, I'm sure the effects have been felt in Ealing. Care homes have been cut, thousands of care home places have gone, and obviously a real testament to the failure of this government is the growth in food banks, which is an absolute disgrace in my mind. The symbols last year, the Trussell Trust Food Bank fed 346,000 people. Of those, 120,000 people were children. And that is the context of the cuts that we are facing. The legal case which we have been invited to bring on behalf of a claimant who is a regular user of the Southall Town Hall and the services there, broadly speaking, try to challenge Ealing Council on 3 broad issues. So 3 broad issues have been brought against it. But the reason why I think it's so important, and why the people on this panel think it's so important, and no doubt you feel it's so important for the community, is the role that Southall Town Hall has played in this community, either in your living memory, or you've probably heard the stories that Jan Paul has just hinted at. But Southall Town Hall was an information centre, and this is from my research, I'm sure some of the speakers up here will probably correct me later on, saying, you know, you're bloody Scouser, you should be commenting on our area. But Southall Town Hall was an information and advice centre in the 1970s, and the Indian Workers Association was based there, which are building an organisation I'm sure some of you, or maybe all of you, are aware of historically. The building is well known in progressive circles as a meeting place for campaigns, and as Jean-Paul mentioned, in 1979 Blair Peach died following a demonstration outside there. And in 1994, a proposal to Southall Town Hall led to a local charity worker going on hunger strike in order to protect it. And the services that run out there are a crucial advice service, a crucial community place, as well as small businesses who offer vital community services. So our 3-stage campaign, or our 3-stage grounds of our challenge, is the first ground is the failure of Ealing Council to properly decide the purpose of sale and the future use of the building, and failing to have regard to this. In 2015 and 2016, the Cabinet identified that they would like to look at the use of Southall Town Hall and how it should be used in the future, but no decision was ever made of this. Our case, your case, is that the Cabinet itself was required to make a decision about the use of Southall Town Hall prior to deciding whom to sell it. We argue that they did not properly make that decision. They never really fully discussed that. And if we cherish local democracy, the Council and the Cabinet should fully discuss this and decide this. And it's our view, having studied the papers that we can get hold of, that they failed to do that. And as a result of that, we argue that is unlawful. I have to kind of put a slight rider on that, is in our correspondence with Ealing Council, they failed to disclose information that we've requested. So we might get things from them which might shed some light on this, but what we can see at this time is they failed to do that. Crucially, our ground two is their failure to consult. Disposing of a community asset, in our minds and yours, if it's a local community asset for people to use for services to the community, it's essential that people are consulted. The idea that's coming from Ealing Council is they did consult. They spoke to some of the people who are residents or tenants of the building. Now, in my mind, as a community activist and a solicitor and as a lawyer, surely the idea of consulting is to consult the people who use the building, not just the tenants of the building. And by the way, as an aside, we would even argue they didn't properly consult the tenants of the building in any event, and so really they shouldn't really be putting that as an argument. But what a failure, in our view, what a failure of the Ealing Council. If you're going to get, or try to get rid of a community asset, or look at changing the way it works, surely in this day and age, it's not that hard to consult local people. Surely you can put leaflets out. Surely you can give emails to people to see what they think the building should be. Should it be used for another service? Should it be sold to a private company? Or should, as we argue, local services that provide services to the local community should remain? After all, if we look at our opening, the amount of austerity that's been carrying on, surely the services that are in Southall Town Hall are absolutely vital at this point so that people know their rights, where to go to and how to access services themselves. The third and crucial failure in our mind, in our case, we think, is the breach of a public sector equality duty. Now, it's not that hard to really look at what you should be doing with regards to an equality impact assessment. The Equality and Human Rights Commission, well, you could go on Google and put equality impact assessment in your Google, and this will come up. The Equality and Human Rights Commission produces a 2-page document carrying out an equality impact assessment, 9 mythbusters. So you'd think, if you're going to carry out an equality impact assessment, the first thing you'd do is maybe have a look on the internet to say, what is an equality impact assessment? And our view, in looking at the papers that we've received so far, is the Council have failed to carry out an equality impact assessment. In September 2017, the Cabinet was told that an equalities impact assessment was carried out in 2016 and referred to the December 2016, it was said that the impact on disabled people would be positive or neutral. Bearing in mind that some of the advice agencies may get another office within a 5-mile radius. How can, if you're disabled, be expected to go to a 5-mile radius? 5-mile radius, you could put the advice centre in Heathrow Airport. There's your 5-mile radius. And that's why we say the equality impact assessment that the Council seemingly rely on at this stage is faulty. It's a faulty one, and in any event, we don't even think they've carried out a proper equality impact assessment in any event. I'll finish on this final point. I'm a fan of John Grisham novels. You know, the lawyer is the hero. He comes in, he saves the day. You know, he has clever arguments. He turns up at court, he files that last bit of paper, and suddenly the lawyer wins all. And I sometimes read these books and I go, wow, that's great to be a lawyer. It's great to be like that. Unfortunately, the reality of being a lawyer is not like that. It's often long discussions with clients and emailing them amendments to witness statements and another amendment and something else, and it's not like that. And in fact, I would even say on issues like this, so crucial to the local community, a legal campaign is only a string to the bow. There is no guarantee that our judicial review, which we have filed today, will succeed. I wish I could give you that guarantee. I wish I could say, yes, our arguments will go in and we'll save the day. Lawyers themselves cannot save the day. We can be part of saving the day, a small part of saving the day, but it's you campaigning, united and campaigning, lobbying the councillors, lobbying the local community, leafleting, petitioning, making a big noise in the local community, putting the MP under pressure, making sure that councillors are held responsible for a decision to sell a community asset under the noses of the people they allege to consult. And that's why it's essential. I'm not here to save the day, I'm here to do my bit, and if necessary on a Saturday morning, I'm happy to come down Southall Town Hall with the people on the platform, and hopefully some of you here, and leaflet and try and get people aboard. But it's important that you understand that a legal campaign is a string to the bow. It's not the campaign. You're the campaign. This is the campaign. And hopefully, with a little combination of the legal aspect, but most importantly part of your campaign, we're hopefully and determinedly successful in ensuring that this community asset stays in the community. Thank you.